Just so people know, we're on beer 3. We're only having 4.
Cheers.
Salud, bro. Good to have you back.
You never act old, feel old. You're not old.
When the old man comes knocking, I don't let him in. It's not about who you know or who knows you. It's about who's willing to say they know you. For me, it was Jake, Dusty, and then Hulk. I had one match in 89. I had the 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020. That'll give me 6 decades.
Would you wrestle at 70 years old?
No. For a diamond cutter, I do want to hit one.
You've been working with Lex Luger?
Yes. When he saw the Butterbean video.
Do you think that Lex could walk again?
If it's possible, Lex is going to do it.
Look at all the people you've helped. Why?
You can get whatever you want, as long as you help enough people get what they want.
We're back at it. It's good to see you on camera again. We chat all the time, but
yeah,
we do.
We do. And just so people know, we're on beer 3. We're only having 4. So
what? Oh, geez. I don't know if I've never drank on the podcast.
No, either have I.
What are we doing here?
And you know, I hardly ever drink anymore. I'm not saying not to. You know, some people should.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so funny. Back in my days, you know, coming up as a kid, like I drank a lot. But nothing, as Scott Hall used to say, but you're a civilian, Dally. You're a civilian. You don't know. And he always just say to me that, you know, I don't know, you know, you don't know what it's like. Well, when I helped Jake, and then Scotty was coming in, I said, you're right, I don't know. But he does. So that's really leveled the playing field for that whole magical time that was the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
I think people will be shocked to know that you're drinking beer.
But this is and nobody's paying me to say this.
Not yet. It should be.
But this is a gluten-free beer. And if I could drink during Dom, I was in the UK, which I love going to the UK. I mean, so many people come out to the workshops and the signings, and for the love of wrestling, that I don't know if you've heard about that signing they have over there.
No.
Man, those people came out in droves. It was awesome, man. I really have a great time every time I go to the UK. But on one of my trips, I'd been out in this little New York, but out in like a little area where there's pubs, and the reason I was out there was because they had not camping, but glamping, because that's the part. That's the closest I get to friggin'.
You need plumbing? Is that the deal?
I need a real bed.
Okay.
Yeah, I need plumbing. I need a shower. I need to be able to use the bathroom, you know. But I did never forget when the ceilings were low in this one section, and boom, hit me square in the forehead. You know, in a day's sleep, getting up and going to the bathroom, right? But I said to the guy, I sat down and I said, I'm looking at your menu here, and you have gluten-free fish and chips? He's like, yes, we do. I'm like, oh my God. I go, there's no chance you have gluten-free beer, is it? He goes, oh, yes, we do. And it's the best one I've ever had. And he goes, because I'm a celiac. I go, no kidding. I go, I'm not. I go, I'm gluten-free because my joints feel way better. And nothing tastes better than feeling good, like really good. And he brought that beer out. I was like, damn. So, I mean, I couldn't find, I searched for gluten-free fish and chips the rest of that tour that I was out there. Because if I'm going to go and do a signing like I did for Love of Wrestling, or my buddy James up in Wales, if I'm going to be out there and doing it, then I'm going to throw workshops around it. And then I want to see the country. Now, my wife, of course, Paige, she wants to climb whatever the mountains are. Yeah. And they're only about 4,000 feet, but they're from sea level to 4,000. So it's still a real hike. And, you know, she loves that. And me, I go to DDPY or go to the gym or Power Cuffs or whatever. So,
well, look, cheers.
Salud, bro. Good to have you back, man.
It's good to see you. Thank you, as always, for welcoming me into your home. You guys are the best, and I just appreciate you so much.
Look at this for your camera.
I don't know, maybe over here. I don't know. Maybe off the shot. Do people think because your wife's last name is McMahon that she's related?
One of my favorite stories ever is actually really, besides Cody, the first of the boys that I introduced Paige to. So that's when I was doing the thing with AEW and doing the building up to the thing with me and MJF and then the match, which MJF, by the way, fucking awesome. So as soon as I got that with that kid right early on, like you can just be around him for 5 minutes and realize if he can just shut his mouth at certain times, he's so money. Like he's so money. And I do love him. And so to be able to do something with him and cut the promos back and forth.
Yeah, you were nose to nose with him.
Oh, dude, friggin'. When I shut up at one point and we're doing that shit or whatever's happening, and the whole AEW arena starts chanting, yoga. I laughed so hard. But back over to Jericho. So I'm with Paige. Now this is going to be my match, okay? And so this is 2020, right? Because what I realized, the only reason I decided to do that was because I talked to Cody about it, like probably November of I talked to Cody about it in 2019. We're having a few beers back then, and we're having a good time. And said, I think I got one more in me.
And you had given a diamond cutter the previous year at All In.
Yes, and it was after that. Now there's an AEW, and I'm like, I think I got one more.
Yeah.
Next day, I called him up and I said, "Hey, bro, I think I had a few too many beers last night. Let's shelve that because, dude, I'm not good for that." He goes, "Hey, D, no worries. Whenever, hey, if you're ready, you let me know." So then I start thinking. See, I probably wrestled for 2 months, friggin' like 1 day a week. But I looked like somebody at 23 years old. I had the long blonde hair and I wanted to be a wrestler so bad, but there was no one to train. And I ran into Gorilla Monsoon and got him to give me the number of a guy named Tito Torres. And me and my buddy John Shipley drove up to Jersey City, wrestled 1 day a week. And then I wrestled like 4 times and he's got me on a show. I know nothing. Bottom line, within 2-month period, maybe I got to the 3rd match and I hurt my knee. And the doc said, take off some time. So now I take off time that, because I hurt my knee. And as I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll joint. And then the booze, the bras, and the party
sure
took me in a different direction. I forgot all about the dream of wanting to really be that wrestler. And then in the 80s, WrestleMania happens. And you had him on your show, Jesse Ventura. I see Gorilla, who I've met before, right? Got a number for him from Tito Torres. And I say, who's this cat with the leather on him, the bow and the shades, crazy shades and a do-rag? It's Jesse Ventura. And that voice and that presence. I'm like, this cat, he's the bomb, right? Friggin' first guy through the curtain, got a Fu Manchu and a bag over his shoulder. And the way Jake watched, because I'd stopped watching wrestling. After WrestleMania happened, I'd stopped watching. And then I was flicking the channels and I see this and like, who is this cat? And then I watch him in the ring. I'm like, damn, I can't see through his shit. And then I hear him cut a promo. And I'm literally asking myself, did I miss something? Like, is this shit real? I mean, it was that real.
Yeah.
That's what Jake Roberts was to me. There was so many ways he came through my life. 7 months, 8 months later, he walks in my club that I'm running now, a big club in Fort Myers, Florida. And he rolls in. Like, you can't make that shit up. And of course, I'm like you would have been if fucking you said, oh my God, Jake Roberts there before you did this show and built your audience and all that. But fresh, you'd have been like, oh my God, I got to meet him. And so I freaking hustled over to him and I seen him. I slowed down, didn't want to fanboy on Snake and rolled up to him. And I was like, hey man, you Jake the Snake Roberts? Who wants to know? I said, the guy who owns this place, and I didn't really own it, but I had a small little piece. And he said, yes, what can I do for you? I said, what are we drinking? Jake and I got fucked that night.
What was your drink of choice back then?
Oh my God. My father called me a garbage drinker because I could drink anything and everything. And I'm sure my gut suffers for it today. You will never see me. If I'm in beers, might have a shot or two of tequila, but that's it.
I know what you're thinking. Nice black t-shirt, CVV. But this, my friends, isn't just any black shirt. This is the Ponto Performance Tee from Vuori. It is buttery, soft. It's the same shirt you saw me wear in interviews with people like Liv Morgan, Ricardo Rodriguez, and Bobby Lashley, just to name a few. I just love how versatile it is. Like, this is something you can wear out and about for everyday life. It's also something that I wear to the gym all the time. It's moisture wicking and incredible 4-way stretch. Also, the Ponto Performance pants, my goodness, these might be the softest performance pants on the planet. These are light, they're stretchy, and these are the pants that I'm always wearing on the plane or around the house or really just out and about. I absolutely love Vuori. I've been wearing them long before they were ever supporting the channel, and I know you're gonna love them too. And they're hooking you up in a massive way. When you go to vuori.com/CVV, they'll give you 20% off your first order. So click the link down below. It's vuori.com/CVV for 20% off your first order.
What do they say? Beer before liquor? Never been sicker?
Yeah. To me,
Liquor before beer, you're in the clear?
yeah, but bro, friggin', if back then I was drinking every shot, I was in the bar business.
Of course.
You know, I was making shit up as we would have. Smurf piss was one of the things we drank.
Smurf piss?
Smurf piss, which was vodka, blue curacao, sweet and sour, splash of 7. Shake it up.
Actually sounds pretty great.
It really
We
was.
should have some of that later.
Not a chance. The last time I drank anything past tequila was with Michael P.S. Hayes, and don't let me forget about the Jesse Ventura thing. It was Michael P.S. Hayes, and he had come into L.A., and Michael's one of the top writers in WWE, but he also is one of my brothers who, man, I met him when I was in the AWA, and I got in a car with him one time. I don't even know how it happened, but Jerry Jarrett is driving. Marlon, I can't remember his name. Can't remember Marlon's name. Was Shotgun. He was his booker. P.S. Hayes and me in the back. And it's when they were trying to put the clash for the pay-per-view of the AWA, the Memphis, and Dallas. And they were trying to pull it all together because they're going to do their own pay-per-view. Because Vince and Crockett were doing it. Well, you're not going to do it anything like those guys.
Sure.
But they were trying to put it all together. And me and Hayes bonded over that time together. And when I came in to manage him, he had actually given me his phone number. So I'd been able to stay in touch with him. And I always say, it's not about who you know or who knows you. It's about who's willing to say they know you. Who's willing to make a call and put their name on the line for you. So Jimmy Jam and Michael, they need some kind of, just a fresh up, give them another face. So Dusty brings me in and puts me with them. And Hayes says to Jimmy, two of the best talkers ever. He says, this guy's got chops. We're going to put our backs to the camera. D, you come through us and you cut the promo. Okay. And good thing I've always got shit like prepared in my head long before that. And I nailed it. And that was the beginning of my start. But it was Michael putting me in that spot. But back to Jesse, I saw you had him on your show.
Yeah.
Man, I love Jesse Ventura.
I still can't even believe that happened.
Nah, dude. I mean, I've always loved Jesse Ventura. When he came to Fort Myers, because I met him in Tampa, someone had walked over to him. I was down working for the AWA, and he said, this guy, Diamond Dallas Page, love to meet you. And he walked over. He was exactly how I would have acted to somebody, especially a guy coming up and trying to figure it out, Yeah. And he was super cool. And he said, if you like me, and I can't do Jesse now, but I could. Back in those days, I had Jesse down.
You have so many other impressions. I can't believe you can't do Jesse.
I can't do it anymore. I lost it because it's repetition.
We need to call Will Sasso to.
Oh my God, no, friggin' Karrion.
This is so good.
He's so good. I loved, and I think Jesse loved it too, because you'd have known if he didn't.
Yeah. Don't tell me.
God, Karrion to me is one of the most underrated players in the game.
Totally agree.
The look, the size, the rap, the charisma.
Yep.
I mean, to me, man, that guy got bumps on that man. That cat is like our boy LA Knight, like another guy. Like
he just needs an opportunity. And I think that Karrion Kross was able to show what he was capable of in NXT. Give him that same opportunity on the main roster.
I think it's like anything. It's like we were just watching something with Teddy Swims, and he said, he's got patience written on the top right to remind himself, be patient, motherfucker. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing we all have.
Yeah.
And I was the same way. And in 95, I was most improved wrestler of the year, according to Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That's like a shoot award. If you look at guys who got that.
Yeah.
And Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, there was a lot of guys, Stone Cold Steve Austin, those guys got that, and I felt I was so ready. But it didn't happen. In 96, I thought I was so ready. And at the end of 96, that's when the NWO thing started to happen. By the time 1997 rolled around, I wasn't ready. I was ready, waiting, and able. I had everything, all the stars were aligned because I worked so hard to get there. Just like what Teddy Swims is going through right now.
Yeah, what was his line? It was like, you need someone to believe in you.
Yeah. Never underestimate the power someone gives you by believing in you. It's so powerful. For me, it was Jake. Really, it was before that. It was the assassin number one, Jody Hamilton from the Power Plant. But the first mega guy was Jake Roberts. Later, it would be Dusty, and then it would be Hulk. What else do you need to go where no one says you can go?
Let's take it way back here to, you were saying Jericho when he meets your wife.
Thank you. How'd you remember that?
Because I'm still so curious about it. She's Paige McMahon. Paige, and then obviously McMahon.
So I introduced Chris. He's like, hey, we give her a hug. And I go, hey, I want you to meet my girl. This is Paige. And he went, Paige? You're Paige? And she goes, yeah. And he's drinking them. She goes, I go, baby, tell me what your maiden, tell me what your last name is. She goes, McMahon. He went, it was so classic. And he laughed. He laughed so hard. Jericho is one of my favorite people for a number of reasons. And we really got close after, wrestling was over for me. And really in the heat of everything, like I've said it before, like Jericho to me is this generation's Ric Flair. Ric Flair wrestled for decades, and was over as hell. And Jericho has found a way to reinvent himself over and over and over again.
He's wrestled 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. It's crazy.
And that's real. That's where this whole conversation started.
Yeah.
So in 79, I have, let's call them 3 matches that were brutal before I'm out, but I'm 23 years old. I have a card that I'll show you later that says whoever's on top, and then it says handsome Dallas Page, 250 pounds. I'm on the card like a name, like I'm no one. I know nothing. I mean, nothing. And then where was I going with that? So 79, right?
So 70s.
When Dusty brought me in for Florida Championship Wrestling, 89, Big Steel Man, who was Tugboat, friggin' Fred Ottmer, I was managing him, and he's wrestling Dick Slater. You can find this match on YouTube. Slater gets 5 minutes with Diamond Dallas Page if he beats Big Steel Man. Of course, he beats him. We got a full house, and Slater, takes me, he eats me up, but he does give me some stuff, which is kind of crazy. So I had 1 match in 89. I had the 90s. I had 2000. So that's 4. In 2010, Ray Lloyd, AKA Glacier, he calls me and he says, hey, D, I know you're done, but would you work a 6-man? I mean, we just want the name value. Just get in there, do a little, hit a diamond cutter, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, I'm like 4 decades in. That'll give me 5 decades. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So the main reason I did, now we're bringing this all the way back to MJF, is it's 2020. That'll give me 6 decades. Preposterous. I don't deserve 6 decades through fate somehow. It's not like, God, any of the greats who really did wrestle. I'm sure Nate's wrestled at least 6 decades, Yeah, it's got to be. And
what about Funk?
Funk got to be really close, you know. God, there's so many guys that deserve that. I don't deserve that, but it's fun to talk about,
You're turning 70 in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Would you wrestle at 70 years old?
No. It's so important for me. Like, my body feels good. And I remember Bruno Sammartino and I did something. My buddy Sal Correnti was really the first guy, and he was ahead of his time to do, I can't remember what he called it, but it was something of, Meet the Greats. It was some wrestling name, Rumble. I can't remember what it was called. But, I mean, he promoted it so well. He got me and Bruno on ESPN to talk about this big, Dusty was a headliner as a signer, and Bruno feud with Zbyszko, and I was going to be his second and get it in wrestle for Bruno, who at the time is 70. And I love Bruno Sammartino, dude. Like, wait a minute. There's a picture from that night right here. There's that shot. We'll superimpose that.
Look at that.
Yeah,
let's put it right here. Look at that.
When Austin saw that picture, he was like, wow, you got that. Like Bruno. I mean, you don't get no bigger than Bruno, Right. And so I tell Bruno, I go, because here's what we're going to do. At the end, we'll do the schmaz, and you come in and you light Larry up and go, oh, no, Diamond, I feel too good. The aches and pains, most of them are gone. I'm good. And I'm like, okay, Bruno. You know what happened at the end? He went in there and lit Larry up. He couldn't stop himself,
Wouldn't that couldn't be you?
I don't, like I say, I am there for a diamond cutter. I do want to hit one when I'm 70.
Okay.
I do.
In a WWE ring?
I would love that.
I bet Cody would take one. Cody would take one.
Cody, let's go back to the last time that I did a Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
and no one knows it. And we have Resurrection of Jake the Snake at Slam Dance Film Festival which is going on the same time as the other big Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah.
Yeah.
No one knows. I fly to Philly. I fly up to Jersey, and they drive us into Philly, and they're having a big party, and everyone's saying I'm not there because my throat. Oh my God, my throat was so bad. I was talking me. There's an interview on YouTube of me with Larry King and Scott and Jake, and I'm talking like that. I mean, dude, I blew it out, pushing myself too much. And so I got enough of a voice to talk, and I get a text from Cody. He goes, he says, how apropos, I will be the first that you hit with the cutter. And it was Cody, and then Fandango, and then the immortal Bray Wyatt. Friggin' boom, boom, boom. And then P.S. Hayes, Booker, right? He's booking this whole thing. He goes, and then you know what happens? And me and Bubba, who's also going to be in the Rumble, look at each other and going, here comes Randy. And he goes, oh God, I can't remember his name now. The Russian handsome son of a bitch.
Rusev.
What?
Rusev.
What a stud.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rusev.
Yeah.
No, friggin' what a stud. So he's going to take you out. I'm like, and me and Bubba looked at each other like, really?
They say that first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions. That, my friends, is where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is so simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part about it is it's all done online. So that means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. So discover your options at BlueChew.com, and they've got a special deal going on for you right now. Try Blue Chew for free. You just have to pay $5 for shipping at checkout when you go to BlueChew.com. That's right. Try Blue Chew for free by going to BlueChew.com. All of the details and the safety information is up there on the website. That's BlueChew.com. And a big shout out to Blue Chew for always supporting the channel.
Like, wait a second. The Legend Killer. And Randy, a lot of people have heard me talk about him. One of my favorites. One of my favorites of all time. You know, I think the most underrated guy maybe ever in our business. Because even though he's seen here, he could be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, he's had everything. And he's still got the look and the size and the rap and the work and the promo. I mean, he's a guy who's gotten all the breaks and friggin' kicked their asses.
Yeah.
You know, so the Legend Killer, but haven't killed me yet. And I want to take it so bad. Like I do. You know, I had this vision of the Rumble, right? And friggin' it comes down. Here comes Randy. And friggin' he goes for it. And I get out of it. And then I go for it. He gets out of it. And then it turns into, of course, the RKO.
Did he ask for permission to use the cutter?
You know, he wasn't. When Randy wasn't even there when I left, and I called him later on about it. Like I wanted him to use it, but he never remembered the phone call because he was coming out of surgery. And it was right around the time that I had called him. He was all, you know, banged up because friggin' he come out of surgery and stuff the day I called him. And later on, like Michael P.S. Hayes and Johnny Ace is really the originator of the one arm kick it out.
Yeah, but you jump.
Yeah, but for me, it was out of nowhere. Randy took it with the jump. And Randy did things with that shit that I couldn't. I wasn't athletic enough to do what he did. And I love what he did with it. But my favorite cutter ever, I had him on an interview with me recently. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Me and Sammy Guevara. And him and Cody, and before that, it was Frankie and Chris on that X Division. Like, that was the timing. It's close. I mean, it's like this. Sammy's with Cody above like
the one on the ladder, right?
Oh my God. When they're on the cross thing and Frankie springboards.
I mean, the Sammy and Cody on the ladder. Right.
I mean, like
Ultimate X is the other one.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I mean,
but what about Randy Orton giving the RKO to Evan Bourne out of the shooting star press?
Oh, unbelievable. Like I say, Randy, I can remember Eddie coming up to me and going, hey, because we're working on Saturday night, main event, right? And I'm getting ready for the Malone thing, I was doing with Rodman and Hogan. And he goes, D, have you taken a diamond cutter out of a power bomb yet? And I went, God, how are we going to do that, bro? Your junk's like in my face there. I'm going to get you up. He goes, no, pick me up and roll me on your back. So I grab him, and now he's hanging backwards, right?
Yeah.
I literally go, now what, Eddie? He goes, boost me. I said, and Eddie, of course, the athlete, he could have been like a gold medalist, gymnast, in the rings or whatever. His body control was so unbelievable. He spun and he slid down my back. I went, wow, Eddie, if we could hit that. That's one of my favorite diamond cutters. That's what, for me.
Yeah.
That was, and it was all Eddie. But later I would see Dolph and Randy. Dolph, he goes to the powerbomb Dolph. And I don't know how. Dolph's a freak.
Yeah.
Ziggler is a freak. He boosts him up, and Ziggler somehow gets out, pancakes out, and they go down. That to be one of the original people who really got that shit over, and to see how many guys do different versions still today.
Yeah.
That's fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I had 50 ways into it.
Yeah.
But there's really like 350
Yeah.
according to Randy and everybody else who does their shit, you know?
Your energy is so infectious. And I love this. There's so many people who, when their age starts to begin with a 4 or a 5 or a 6, oh man, I'm old. I'm old. I can't do that anymore. Where did this mentality come from for you? Where you never act old, you never feel old, you're not old.
Well, there's heroes that I have. All right. One, Sylvester Stallone. Another's Arnie. Clint Eastwood. I'm reading something, and Toby Keith was a buddy of mine. Not super close, but enough where I did something, he got back to me or whatever, and I had some good times with him. He's a really great country artist, and like he's a mega legend, right?
Yeah.
And I see this article, and I start reading it, and he said that he's out golfing with Clint. And at some point, he said, "So Clint, what are you doing tomorrow?" And Clint said, this is 6 years ago. All right. He said, "I'm going to be 88 years old." He goes, "No kidding." Look at man, like, what are you going to do? He said, "I'm starting another movie." He goes, "On your 88th birthday?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Clint," he said, "how do you do it?" And he said, "When the old man comes knocking, I don't let him in."
I love that.
And I was like, the repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. That became one of my affirmations. I don't let him in. Get up. Like drinking beers tonight with you, I rarely do this anymore.
Me too.
But I do it for health reasons because I'm still not going to be afraid to have a couple cocktails and drink some tequila, but I'm still going to drink smarter because I am 6 months from 69. Now, have you ever heard that quote before? The repetitions of affirmations.
Yeah. You know where I heard it from?
Me.
Yeah.
For anybody who's listening, the repetitions of affirmations.
It's Ali.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. The repetitions of affirmation can be really bad. And that's what happens to a lot of people.
That's the story they tell themselves.
100%.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like that. And I watched Jake Roberts completely turn his life around at the darkest moments of hell and watch him get back with his ex-wife, who he's been married to twice and had 2 sets of kids with. And they're so Cheryl. And I couldn't be any happier for the both of them. That's the guy she always loved. And for Jake to do that, he had to change the story he was telling himself. Like one of the things about Resurrection, if anybody's never seen it, go to Amazon Prime. It's on there.
The resurrection of Jake Roberts.
Yeah, resurrection of Jake the Snake. Yeah. And there's scenes that weren't in the movie because we didn't have cameras going. And this is a powerful one. At one point, he came down and he's like, "I'm such a loser." And he punched the marble counter. I go, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm such a loser." I don't even know what was pissing him off. Instinctively, I just said, "Come here, bro." And I walked him in the bathroom. And we said, "What do you see?" He goes, "A loser." I go, "Stop fucking saying that." I go, "Look at your shirt." Shirt said it was a picture of a skeleton and it was all in red. And he's waving a flag. And you'll see that t-shirt very early on in the Resurrection Jake the Snake because he's wearing it. Wore it all the time. And it's waving a flag that says wasted youth. I said, every time you look in the mirror and you see that fucking t-shirt, your subconscious tells you you wasted everything. Fucking stop wearing that shirt. You wear shirts with with Manson on it. Charles Manson. Would you want any of your kids anywhere near them? It's like, fuck no. I go, stop putting that motherfucker over. He was scumbag. Fucking, you should be wearing fucking positive energy. Fucking unstoppable. Shit like that. And he walked away. In 20 minutes, he came back later. And Jake's an artist. And he had drawn this t-shirt. And on the thing it said, my history is not my destiny. Like, that's powerful shit.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people are sober because of Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many.
Well, and then take that back one more step. Jake Roberts is sober because of you.
Dude, I owed him. There was a point in time during the fucking pandemic, those fuckers for doing that to us. There was a time where I really bought into it. Like, I thought, fuck, these guys are serious. Before I really realized everything that was happening. But at one point, I kept telling Jake, because he was staying with me for a while over that period. And I said, listen, Jake, if you go out to work, I mean, I got Brittany here, my daughter, and my granddaughter, Oakley, and Paige. And like, dude, I don't want you to bring anything back, bro. Like, if you leave, you're going to have to stay gone. He's like, okay, D, I got to go. I got to go work. Okay. So we end up in a hotel room. And then at some point in that hotel is no one except for Jake and the person who's working the desk. So it's really kind of like, what's that movie that Jack Nicholson was in, The Shining? It's kind of like that. And I saw a tweet or something that Jake did that was kind of like rough. And I called him up. I said, what hotel you in? I said, I'm coming to get you. So I go downstairs and or should I come upstairs, and I see Brittany, she's in the kitchen. And I said, listen, I know I told him he couldn't come back, but I'm going to go get Jake. I'm going to bring him back here. She goes, I love Jake. And she does. She loves Jake. But she's like, but doesn't he have other family he can go to? I said, little girl, I'll own this house without him. You're right. You're right, Dad. You're right. So Jake and Dusty, like those cats, they were, I had the greatest minds in the world mentoring me.
I was watching the Butterbean video for the first time, and I had tears in my eyes as I was watching it. The change you made in his life it's unbelievable. It really is.
When he walked in that door, oh my God, I looked at Steve and I was like, man, I did not know.
Because he's bent over?
But he couldn't stand up. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But he literally, when I saw him walk in, he didn't have the crutches under him. He was holding the little handles and he walked like this. It would look like a crab. It was like, I'm like, oh, dude, how are we going to help him? And of course, Steve, the ever positive Steve, he's one of the positive lights behind me that makes me shine through positive. He said, but what if we can? And later we'd laugh about that. Now understand too, there's a lot of times I wasn't there to train him all the time. And that's where my boy Josh Nair comes in. And he's one of my master instructors. He's been working for us for a number of years now. And he's a great instructor, but he's also a great human being. And he went through a lot of that stuff with being like everything I taught him to do, but it's all together. And Steve was there, like my whole crew, and you've met a number of them. And my whole crew's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like they love the fact, like Kimberly, my ex-wife, Kimberly, the Diamond Doll, is the COO of my company now, which I had to bring her in because I needed her. I needed to get some corporate structure around what we're doing because it can't just continue. We've been killing it since the Arthur Borman video happened for 12 years. And as you grow, you build a mass of not debt, because we don't have any debt, but overhead.
Yeah.
So you need to keep everything. Like when I get to 70, I'm not done, but we're building, which I told you about, the retreat in Panama City Beach. As of this year, end of this year, I will be there with Paige. And we're going to do retreats down there. We'll still film a lot of stuff. And a lot of the people who come, like they come here, everybody's going to want to come there.
I think people are going to be blown away to hear that you and Kimberly Page are still cool.
Oh, man. Anybody who knows me knows I love my ex-wife. And my wife, Paige, loves my ex-wife and vice versa. Like, these are two women. Like, I'm very blessed with the first and the third. Very blessed. And not to say anything negative about the second. I was just very blessed. The first and the third were complete game changers for me. And the two of them are so alike and so smart in some ways and completely opposite in other ways. And Kimberly's husband, I love him. He just came over and helped me build the backwards, I guess you'd call it, it's a treadmill, but there's no power. You make your own power. So it's really great for your knees. And I love him, man. Me and him have been tight for 15 years now. And you know who else does that? The Rock.
Speaking of him, there was a comment on the Butterbean Instagram video where Rock said, "This is amazing. He was putting you over. I left you a voice note."
Yeah, wow.
And you don't have to get into it, but
Here, pour yourself.
oh boy, here we go.
Number 4. But this is a higher
What a
octane
conversation this shall be.
beer. I'll tell you, it was super cool to get that message. And the only way I can put this is The Rock's the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
Still is.
Sure.
And been there for a decade.
Yep.
Kind of like, Sly and Arnie were bouncing back and forth. There's one right there.
Thank you.
But to get that message, it wasn't just one, it was 3. And it was so cool that he said, man, I'm watching this Butterbean video and I thought, fuck, man, I got to hit you up. And he talked about the Bean video and how proud he was of me and what I've done to help the boys. Because, the only people who help the boys, really who help the boys, is the Cauliflower Alley Club. And, my man, guys down there who are Brian Blair from Killer Bees. He's the CEO of that company. None of the boys who go in there get flown in. Nobody gets anything. All the money, they're going to put you in a circle. I was lucky. They put me in a circle as a wrestler and as a humanitarian. And it was a huge award in the 50th anniversary of those guys. But those guys, Brian Blair and all the guys who work with the Cauliflower Alley Club, they give back and take care of the boys. And from what I understand, more and more, WWE has been helping out and Chip, helping that whole scene out over there. And I look for them to maybe do more, because there are guys who shouldn't, who paved the way in a way. I think about superstar Billy Graham, man. Like that was, along with Dusty, that was one of him, Bruno, him and superstar Bruno Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko, love Larry then too. And Dusty Rhodes. Like those are the guys who coming from the Jersey Shore. Like they're the guys I was like, wow, these fuckers are bigger than life.
If you're wanting to burn some extra calories or sweat out some toxins from a particularly big evening of food and drinks and indulging, check out the infrared sauna blanket from Bond Charge. I've been using this since last year and I love how it raises your body temperature while you're just kind of sitting there relaxing, reading a book or watching TV. A session's usually 30 to 40-ish minutes and you can burn up to 600 calories in one session. I was looking into getting a sauna because I knew of all the health benefits associated with it. And I knew it would complement the cold plunging really well. I do it every day, like I start the day with a cold plunge and then right into the sauna, so extreme cold, and then into the heat. Then I saw the cost of a sauna, and an infrared sauna blanket from Bon Charge is a fraction of that price. And I think it might actually be better because you just kind of roll it out and crawl into it, kind of like a sleeping bag. It heats up in just a minute, and then you just let it do its thing. And I always feel so refreshed when I'm done with the infrared sauna blanket. Head to boncharge.com/CVV to check out the infrared sauna blanket and use my code CVV. You'll save 15% on it. They've got free lightning fast worldwide shipping, and you're covered with a 12-month warranty. So that's boncharge.com/CVV and the code CVV to save 15%.
It seems like under the new regime, Triple H has been signing people to these Legends deals just to say, like, we appreciate you. Like, thank you. And it's so cool to see that.
I can't remember. It was at SummerSlam. Cody had said, did you hear about the email that went around? I said, no. And they said, these are the legends who are going to be here. And they just brought different guys in. Like, I was there because Bronson Steiner, Rick Steiner, real name, but Braun Breaker, he been working in his gym with me for 2 years. I was helping him get ready for Baltimore, to go for the Ravens. And that didn't work out. But he's going to be a megala star in WWE. And so getting there to see him win the Intercontinental Championship was huge. And always being there for Cody for me. But when they sent that email out, they had a little bio on each person. Like just a little one. And what they said to their crew, the boys and the girls, a lot of those people don't even know who the hell we are.
Sure.
They weren't even born. You know what I mean? And understandable. It's like, here's who they are. Just don't say hello. Thank them. And, it was really cool for me. Because I'm a fan of CM Punk and just his whole punkism that he is. How he is so over with the people. He literally came up to me when he saw me. Hey, DDP, gave me a hug. He goes, and he literally said that. He said, hey, man, just want to welcome you in and thank you.
Wow.
That was super cool, Punk, And I got a lot of respect for him anyway, because it's amazing to me. Like the grip he has on the people. Like, he can do no wrong, man.
Yeah, that reaction when he came back to WWE at Survivor Series was crazy.
Yeah, really was.
Yeah.
Really was. And I think it was good for him in a way that he didn't screw his tricep up. I'm sure he didn't think so at the time. But sometimes what I've learned in my life is sometimes the things that look like the worst thing that ever happened to you turn out to be the best. If you can just do, like I was saying, Teddy wears patience above his eyebrow. If you can just be patient, if you can breathe through it and just keep moving forward and keep a positive attitude. They call this, like, there's a science wrapped around this now called hope molecules. Like having a positive attitude. The story you tell yourself. I do a whole thing on living life at 90%, being that life's 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it.
Yeah.
And then that story, that repetition of that affirmation can be good or it can be really bad. If it's bad, you can you're predestining yourself to failing, And when you start to realize that failure is on the way to success, that you have to fail to live that dream you're on your way to, because no one just goes, win, 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 win.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's been so fun watching so many of these PLEs with you. Like, we've both been in the same building at the same time. Royal Rumble, you're like, where are you at? I'm in the press box. Actually, we were texting. And then half an hour later, a tap on my shoulder. Bro, what's up? I'm like, how did you even get in here? That was so. And then after that, I'm like, we're going down to the press conference. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah, where is it? I'm like, I don't know. We're just going to follow the crowd and head in there. I don't know how you found your way in there. That was wild. That was so wild.
You said there in the press conference.
Yeah.
you need to ask him the first question.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, they're handing me a mic. I'm sitting next to you. And I'm asking him the first question.
It was great.
Like, that is the power of manifesting something into reality. It starts with a thought, then a spoken word, and then repetition. Again, I've lived the dream over and over and over again. I've also failed on the way there. And I used to say a line I've heard a wrestler say it in a long time, but it's not about how many times I fall down. It's about how many times I get back up again. That was another
Rocky
repetition.
6, right?
Say again?
It's Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa.
Again.
So how many times you get hit?
How many you can take the hit and keep going. So
keep moving forward.
Same thing though. That's a cat. I'll tell you, I gotta read you this because on the same page.
This is one of the most impressive things, ladies and gentlemen. 68 years old and reading his phone in a normal sized text with no glasses on. Unbelievable.
That's only because I have contacts that are put in my lenses.
I'm just saying. Everybody else goes, let me read this text. They fumble for their readers and they put them on.
And that makes them feel old.
Ah.
So you read this, okay? Because it's
I don't need readers.
You don't need it. You read that. And that's from the official.
This is from Sly. This is a comment on the Butterbean video. Congratulations to Butterbean, a real warrior. I am stunned, all caps, by Diamond Dallas Page and his extraordinary healing abilities. And then we got below that, The Rock. Incredible work, my brother. Respect to all of you, with a heart emoji and a whiskey emoji left to a voice note. Yeah, that's pretty badass.
I tell you.
And the comment that I left on there, which I mean with my whole heart, is the world is a better place because DDP's in it.
Thank you. I really don't. That to have Sly notice that, like, whew, fuck. Like, wow. Like, all I can see, please, someone hear this, see this, and say, you got to get a hold of DDP. Because I want to put those power cuffs on him, which we're going to be doing tomorrow. You're going to be doing the gauntlet with me, DDP's gauntlet, which
is the new and improved gauntlet.
You know,
right? Did the other one.
For a year and a half, I've been filming these things.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to tell the story where we wouldn't lose them, because this is awesome, but we're going to be working out. Now, how do I hold you in between those times? It took me a year and a half. I failed at putting it together, and I failed at putting it together. Now, it could have gone out, but not with my name on it, not with my face on it.
Yeah.
Like, I put a shitload of work in every single thing I do. So I'm not just going to throw shit up against the wall. I will, as long as it's on my wall. But I'm not going to put it on your wall until I'm comfortable with it. And then I realized, wow, the things I have from the first time we were together, going to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, to hit on. But also it's going to be, fun with different people that have gotten into cold plunge the first time. You're not going to have a big deal with that. But you weren't even in the plunge. You were in a
what was that? Rubbermaid tub with ice cubes in it.
Right.
That's what you had. You got an actual plunge, plunge.com, the real one.
It was a horse trough.
That's right.
And you're the one who turned me on to Ryan at Plunge.
Yeah.
And that's how we have the plunge today. But how do I make that really entertaining? So it took me a little over 18 months. But tomorrow, you're going to see how that flows through. And like, we just pieced it together with a guy named Judd Lorman, and he is an actor from SEAL Team. Great guy. I met him with AJ. AJ did a
AJ Styles?
Yeah, AJ Styles. A swing for the cause. And it was him and Toby Keith. Not Toby Keith. Cody Jinks. Do you know who Cody Jinks is?
Yeah.
What it's turned out is all of my favorite artists have become my friends. And it's such a cool thing. And they're wrestling fans too, not over the top, but wrestling enough. And Cody and AJ, AJ is one of the greatest of all time. And absolutely, first ballot freaking Hall of Famer. I mean, he's phenomenal for a shoot. And there's times I'll just text him over the years. I was like, you really are Superman.
Did you see that reaction he got at Backlash where the crowd was just going wild for him?
Crazy.
Like, I got tears in my eyes watching it because I was just like, you know that line in, the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
How can you not get romantic about baseball?
Right.
That's how I feel about that moment at Backlash for AJ.
Dude,
how can you not get romantic about wrestling?
There's so many great moments like that, but for AJ, man, what a thoroughbred!
Oh,
what a thoroughbred! We and the fans have been so lucky. This is a great time for wrestling. I want to go back to what you were saying about earlier about Triple H. The Triple H, friggin' regime is unbelievable.
Yeah,
because this cat is really one of the boys, not wanting to be, is at its highest level, and understands all the things you're going through. Because if you go back to the curtain call, who was the whipping boy after that? Triple H. Looked like the worst thing ever happened to him, and the biggest picture turned out to be the best. Because that cat has seen it all. And I've always believed he's one of the fairest guys, and mainly how he treated me. Because there's a story that's been out there for years that the day that Johnny Ace gave me the one-arm diamond cutter, which was the Ace Crusher, he just kicked that, made a peace sign, kicked out. Steven Regal taught me the cravat. I put the cravat on you, unless you're Brock Lesnar, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to friggin' hold you. And if you don't go, we're going. Brock, I'm not so positive about, but everybody else, and maybe Big Show, everybody else is going. I came up with the out of nowhere thing because of Jake Roberts. Watching hours and hours and hours of Jake Roberts, because that was my guy, and then I mixed them all together. And that's what made it, that move was each part of that,
Yeah, but you're right, though. Going back to that, what an era we're in right now. With Triple H at the helm of this.
I've got to tell you, that's the point I was making. That Triple H one night, because I watched everything. If I was on the road, I come home and it's all taped. He did a diamond cutter out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, God. Of all people, he'll make it better. That's exactly what I thought. He'll make it better. I called him up. When I tell you it's the only time he's ever answered his phone, the only time. Kind of like when I called Scott Hall in Resurrection. Only time he's ever answered his phone. He answered his phone, and he's like, hey, D. I'm like, hey, bro. I said, I got a favor I want to ask you. Sure, what do you need? I go, nah, don't say yes yet, because I don't have the right to ask you this. I said, I saw you use the diamond cutter the other night on the finish, and that pedigree's super cool, man. I love that finisher for you, but man, that diamond cutter, bro, I'm just starting to get it over. I said, I would so appreciate it if you wouldn't do it. Sure, D. He never did it again.
Wow.
He didn't have to do that. He could have come on, dude. And I went, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's stupid, right? But I had to ask.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to ask.
Yeah.
He already said yes. That's who Paul Levesque is to me. And as we went through the ride of Scott Hall on his way to sobriety, we were talking all the way through that as well. Because he wanted to know, he never wanted to put Scott in any kind of position that could make him fall back.
Did I hear you've been working with Lex Luger?
Yes. Yes.
So Lex has been in a wheelchair for a long time.
Yeah, 15 years.
Wow.
The craziest part about that, the day that he got paralyzed, and it was, I'm not sure exactly why it happened, but I've been wanting to see him because I'd heard he'd, found God and he'd gone through this change. And to be honest, I couldn't believe it because I know Lex. And I know when Sting got saved, Lex would bury him. And he loved Sting. But the God shit, he wasn't buying it. And I know the good and the bad of Lex. And I still loved him through all of that. Once we became bros, we were tight as hell. But I hadn't talked to him in a long time, and he had gone through a lot of things that had happened over that period. And Eric Watts is the one who told me. He goes, you gotta see Lex. You're not gonna believe it. I go, what do you mean I gotta see Lex? I go, you hate Lex. He's like, no, I don't. I go, you wanted to beat his ass. You hated Lex. And he's like, you're right. I did, but I don't anymore. We're roommates. What universe am I in? I mean, that's how much Watts hated him.
Yeah.
And he's like, you've got to see this, man. He's his belief in Christ and everything. It's real. And I said, man, I'm going to San Francisco next week. I can't wait to see him. And that was the night that Lex ended up going down. And the promoter who had just paid me said, I just got a call. Lex had some kind of heart attack or something. There's EMTs in there. He didn't know why. There was no heart attack. But when I ran to the room where he was at, there's Lex sitting in a chair. I'm like, Lex. I come up and I give him a hug. Are you okay? He goes, I'm okay, Dally. I'm okay. He didn't hug me or anything. I didn't really realize. I wasn't thinking at the time, but looking back, I know he didn't. And the EMTs are like, Lex, you have to go. You have to go to the hospital. No hospitals. Like, Lex didn't have anything then. He didn't want any more dead. He's a very proud guy. And he didn't want any of that. And, you know, I'm looking to him, and I know things that have happened to the boys when something like this happens. Like, you got to go to the hospital. Like, you got to go, bro.
Yeah.
Because you think so, Dally? I'm like, no, bro, you got to go. And he goes, well, you know, my hips are bad. I go, I'll help you. So the EMT got on one side, I got another, and we picked him up, laid him in a table, and they took him off. The guys who were the EMTs, this is God's work. They're both humongous wrestling fans. They passed. They're in friggin' San Francisco. They're in Cow Palace area. This is the hood. They go through all those towns to get to Stanford, which is one of the best hospitals that there is. And the nurse, when he gets there, name is Charity. They end up taking him within a couple of days in the first class. They have to wheel him in. I don't know how the hell they got it all done, but they fly him into Atlanta, where he goes to the Shepherd Center. And his nurse is Hope. And he's in, no bullshit, room 316. Okay, so whatever is happening here, me and Steve are there like the next day. And by this time, he's starting to get movement back in his fingers and his arms a little bit. No legs. And Lex had a hospital that was going to, and a doctor's going to give him new hips. But now he's paralyzed. Somehow, Lex talks them into giving him new hips, even though he has no movement. Because his rationale was that if you get me moving, I won't be able to walk anyway because I couldn't walk before. And they put the new hips in, and over time, and I've got video footage of me and Lex working together with Steve taking this from 14 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe more than that. I don't know how many years ago it was. And then Lex finally gets up and he starts eventually, because he's so relentless, moving and walking with a thing, and then a cane, and then no cane. And then he hit a pothole and he went down. And that's where he was.
Oh, wow.
For the last X amount, whatever years it's been.
Yeah.
And when he saw the Butterbean video, we were both at Sting's last match. And I'm sitting there, you know, watching the monitor. And we're the two guys who are WWE guys who basically said, we're going. You good with that? We're not going to go on camera.
Yeah.
We're good. And they were great. And he rolled up next to me and he goes, Dally, I saw the Butterbean video, bro. He's like, I didn't know you had chair workouts. I said, well, I didn't have them back when, when you and I were working, I said, I got him now. He goes, you think maybe we could start? I'm like, dude, how many times have I asked you to start back up again? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Come over Monday. And we got met after that, and we've been working together about whenever Sting's match was that following Monday.
So do you think that Lex could walk again?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't. There's so much nerve damage in there. I really don't know. But I do know that if it's possible, Lex is going to do it. And there's so many things I do in the chair workouts, even the bed. Like, no one can tell me you can't do DDP yoga. It starts in bed. Like, you can't get out of bed? I got like 9 workouts for you in bed. Then chair force, sitting in a chair. That's where I focus most of my things. Chair, and then getting him to stand up and then go back down. Then stand up and go back down. Standing is one thing.
And he can do that now?
He can stand, but it's for moments.
That's a big improvement.
No, it's a huge deal. And I'm going to put that video out soon to let people see that you can stand. It's shaky.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing. And again, what I do is every time he works out, it's a completely different workout. I'm adding, subtracting, changing, growing. And I've never done this before with anyone. So I've got our first workout. Do you know how many people are in chairs that aren't paralyzed? There's a lot. How many people are in those little scooters in the friggin', there's a lot.
Yeah.
They'd like to be out of that.
Yeah.
Well, you could start here because this guy was paralyzed and he's got nerve damage. You can surely do what he did day one, but every week, it'll be on the app at some point when we get to wherever we're going to, it'll all be in a sequence. So you could, wherever you're at, start where he's at.
What do you say to those people who say, I just can't do it. I can't even work up the energy to even start working out. I deal with so much anxiety. Where do I even begin?
Well, if you're going to tell yourself that story, you're fucked. Okay? You want to change that story? Like I said, it starts with a thought, a dream, an idea. And then you got to write it down. Just don't think it, ink it, type it in your phone, make it an alarm. Man, that's why I don't let the old man in, because I'm too busy looking at how can I I take care of me big time. Like all those gadgets you see in my crib, they're for me first, then for you. If you're smart enough to get them, then you're going to be way ahead of the curve. Because I've got all these toys in my 60s. You'd have them in your 30s or 40s or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like all the same shit I do is what LeBron does, what Brady was doing and still does, I'm sure.
But there's still so many things that you could do for free. Breath work or journaling.
Mine, breath work is number one. When I want to help someone through anxiety, which every single one of us have, I have it at some point, maybe every day. And the first thing I'm going to do is this. I control that. And then I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to let it go. I'm controlling it. When you control your breath and you're taking deep inhalations and exhales, you are activating the hypothalamus, which is connected to the pituitary gland in the brain, which helps with anxiety and stress due to the physiological effect it has on our nervous system. Like that's not DDP talk. That's called medical journal breathing. When you're deep breathing, I'm reading a book right now. I'm not reading. I'm listening to a book right now called Breath.
Oh, that book's fantastic.
And the 5 breaths in and out.
Yeah.
All through the nose.
I tape my mouth when I sleep now because of that book.
Dude, I last night I woke up, I did it 3 days in a row, and then I wanted to see, okay,
life changing.
My throat was so dry that I go, tonight I'm back to taping. And I'll find out what kind of tape.
Have you seen the photos of like people before and after taping, or the twins, like one person's a nose breather and one person's a mouth breather, and just the shape of their face? It's fascinating. I've been taping my mouth for 3 years.
And people would think you're crazy until you really care about your health.
Yes. Anybody listening to this, go, what? He does what?
Right. And dude, you only because I know that book, do I know what you're talking about. Because they still don't understand it. It sounds just stupid. Like, okay, do your thing.
The crazy thing about what you're just talking about here is so many people have never even thought about their breath ever. So you saying like, what I control is breathing in, breathing out. Most people haven't even taken a concentrated breath ever.
And the biggest thing is, and I'm just going to take that breath here, but this one, I'm going to push all the air out. I'm going to squeeze my obliques and my abdominals. I'm going to push it all out. Probably 98% of you have never pushed all that air out. I do it all the time. And again, it's one of the things that keeps me young. Owning your breath, when you are owning your inhales and exhales, especially if they're 3, 4, 5 seconds is the best from what I've seen. And according to that book, you are sending neurohormones to inhibit stress-producing hormones, which triggers a relaxation response in the body. Again, out of a medical journal, not my words.
That's one of the books I recommend the most. It's James Nestor, Breath. It's such a good read.
And he's great to listen to.
Yeah.
He's got such a great voice.
Yeah.
I'm a little perplexed with his feeling that nitrogen is better than oxygen. I'm a little like, I'm not really buying that because all I know is, since I've been doing, and we'll do this again tomorrow, doing hypoxia training, where we're breathing 20, 21% here. When you get at 10,000 feet, 11, 12, that percentage drops dramatically.
Yeah.
I train at 6, 7% max.
Wow.
For 10 minutes, and I'm going to walk backwards on my treadmill for my knees. These are all things I'm doing because I should be I'm bone on bone and should have to have knees right now, and I don't. How long can I go? We'll see.
Can you still lift your leg up over your head?
Well, let's see. We got a few. Let's see.
Let's see.
You know, I'll take that as a challenge.
He has it. No warm up here. 3.5 beers in.
How about at 224 pounds?
Damn.
A twisted steel and sex appeal. And
wow.
6 months from 69. Again, I'm the first transformation of my program.
Yeah.
And now I got my muscles back. Feel that arm, brother. Grab it.
Damn. That's rock hard.
That's power comes.
That's a lot more hard than mine.
And you know, nothing tastes better to me than feeling great. Nothing tastes better to me than being unstoppable. And so many people will eat shit, and I'm not gonna. I'm gonna eat the closest thing to real food that I can find. And I'm gonna fill my mind with as much positivity as possible. And every single person can do it. It takes time. It takes repetition.
There's 2 words that you always come back to, and I've known you for years. Unstoppable. That one's pretty obvious. But the other one's relentless.
Relentless.
What does relentless mean to you?
You can't beat me. You can't beat me. You might beat me down. I've been beat down plenty of times. But I'm going to come back. And I'm going to keep moving forward. If I believe in it. Now, you may make me change my mind. Okay, maybe that wasn't working as well. Well, how about if I do it like this? then I'm going to come at it again.
Mm.
I'm not going to let you beat me down, man. No one needed to believe in me when I started because it was just me, but I had to believe in me.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to have Jody Hamilton and Dusty Rhodes and then Jake the Snake Roberts and then Hulk Hogan, and then Randy Savage, not Randy doing that favor for me. Like, that was a big deal, boy. But I never dreamed that it could have changed my life so dramatically.
So many people point to you as an inspiration for having success in your 40s, not just in wrestling, but just life in general. Because so many people think their life's over at 30, right? Or 40.
Crazy.
But look how many wrestlers now are having crazy success in their 40s.
It's awesome.
Right. I mean, we'll list off a few here, but LA Knight and Damian Priest, and look at the shape AJ's in now and the shape that Randy's in now, Chris Jericho now in his 50s. It's changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. And I think it has a lot to do with, like, a lot of these guys weren't big partiers and they can still go. Now, I know Chris can drink like a friggin' racehorse.
He's
man.
a rock star. I mean,
he is. Chris Jericho is his own animal, brother. He is his own. I don't know how he does what he does, but I love watching him. I will never hit fast forward if I see Jericho heading towards the ring. But I think that there are a lot of guys. Look at Edge and Christian.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
50s,
and I'm glad they can.
Yeah,
and I hope to see. That's every one of those guys. And AJ's going to come here. He's going to do the gauntlet. He told me he would, and I know if JJ says he's going to do something, he will. And he's got a lot of the things I have here. He doesn't have everything, but
I saw him at a cold plunge recently.
Yes, he's got a cold plunge.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. He understands holding back the hands of time because he's there now.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he'll never get there, but you do.
What do you think of the other DDP, the UFC star?
I think he's a badass son of a bitch.
Dricus Duplessis.
I think he's a bad man.
Have you
bro.
connected with him at all?
No. My buddy Marlon is trying to reach out. Have DDP help DDP.
Yeah, it's DDP and DDP.
Oh, I would love it, but I really don't go out of my way to make an effort to like help anybody unless they're coming at me.
Mm.
I'm not trying to sell. I don't give a shit whether you do what I do or not.
Yeah.
But if I do care about you, then I'm going to, like, get over here. Let me just show you this, and maybe it'll help you.
It's pretty mind-blowing that we're able to talk about all the wrestlers who are successful in their 40s and 50s. There are so many guys from your era that didn't even make it into their 40s, didn't even make it into their 50s. What was different about the era then?
Ooh, way more partying, man.
Mm.
It was hard. Like the first time that when I ever understood what pills and booze meant was Jake and I were doing independence because I was let go by WCW, and Jake we were in a club and he threw a pill in his mouth and chewed it up. I go, Jake, did you just chomp on a Percocet? He's like, yeah. I go, why would you do that? Those things taste like shit. And he says, well, he goes, helps go to the brain faster when you chew it up in your mouth. It just does. I don't know how it works like that, but it does. And he said, I said to him, how many is that? I don't know, 12, 13.
Oh, wow.
That was not a lot for Jake. And guys I know, that was not a lot. But I was like, why would you take so many? And he said, they lose their effect. And right there, I'm not saying I never took a pill and had some drinks, but it was a pill. It wasn't multiples because I needed those fuckers to work.
Mm.
And what happens to a lot of guys back then, because you drink so much and then you try to kill some of the pain with muscle relaxers. Well, your heart's a muscle. And there are guys who would take 5 pills couple Vikes, drinks, and then 5 more. 5 more.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I see today from the CM Punk era back. A lot of these guys are straight edge. And I find it fascinating as hell that they don't drink. They don't take drugs, and they manage through. Like Darby Allin's one of my boys. And I am just blown away by the shit that his body can go through. But you can bet your ass every time he has one of those stingers, he's here with me. I have this video footage of him hobbling around. And I put him in the friggin' plunge, back and forth in a hot and cold, got him on the mat. And then I put this PMF machine I have. It's $20,000 machine. And it pulsates your body at a different level. And later on downstairs running around like he's just going to be in a sprinter event.
Man.
Yeah. Like it only because there's not all that garbage in there. And, Marcus, we helped Marcus turn his life around. Bagwell.
Buff Bagwell.
But one of the hardest things it's been because he had polluted his body with drugs, not a lot of alcohol. Marcus was not a big alcoholic, but he's sober and thank God for all the way around it. But when you're putting a combination, and Steve found this out, of Soma, Xanax, and booze, it does whatever it does. And you could be just like this, and then, and that can happen. And I'm so proud of Marcus. I mean, a lot of people still, they're mad at him for whatever reason, but I love the guy. And I'm so proud of him for being able to turn his life around because it was dark. And you'll see, we're going to come out with it probably in the next 3 to 6 months with a series we shot a year and a half ago that Butterbean was one of the major successes of it. The other one's Bagwell. But you're going to see Change or Die. And you're going to see a guy who does not think he's an addict. And at some point realize, and he'll tell you today, yeah, I was an addict. And he's so proud of his sobriety. And you can just look at him and go, wow, man, you look good, bro. But it's still taking time for him to, the sobriety to clean your body out. And eventually it'll all happen and he's in a much better spot. But he's got a great lady right now, Stacy, I've known her for years. And he's just in a really good spot. And I'm really proud of him.
Look at all the people you've helped. Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, Buff Bagwell, Scotty Riggs, Butterbean. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Why? What do you get out of it?
That's my wife. That's my first wife. That's my third wife. Let's say because he can't help himself. And that's what Paige said to me the other night. She said, I said something about something. She goes, yeah, right. She goes, you can't help yourself. And what I'm really lucky about Paige, she's like the same thing. And she has to have her private time, when there's nobody in the house. Yeah. But you're here.
You got a lot of people here.
Marlon's here.
Yeah.
Drew would have been here today, except for he couldn't be here for a family thing. But there's a lot of people who come in and out of here.
But that's this is all part of it. You're so opening. You're so welcoming. Like anytime that I've ever done anything in Atlanta, you're like, you're staying with me. What are you talking about? Of course you're staying with me. It's a question. Why?
I don't know. No. It's just who I am. I don't know how to answer that.
And that comes back to what I was saying earlier, that the world's a better place because you're in it.
Thank you, bro. The biggest reason why is something that I heard Zig Ziglar say fucking 45 years ago. He said, you can get whatever you want as long as you help enough people get what they want. And that just became like part of my DNA,
Yeah.
So good shit, man. And it's been a hell of a ride. Are you ready for tomorrow? You ready for the Gauntlet Part 2?
Let's go. We thankfully edited it out last time, but when you put me on the oxygen machine last time, I almost puked.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
in pretty good shape.
It wasn't good. It was just your body didn't. I'm going to let you control.
Yeah.
There's a dial now I have.
Yeah.
So you can see how much oxygen
Yeah.
you're getting.
I just won't go as hard. I was like balls to the wall.
You were. And that's some shit will show. It was just funny. Like,
I was like, oh, I need to recover. And I did.
What it would be like you running up, because it wasn't what level I had you. It was, and this is what I've learned over the years of doing this, when you add the tension in.
Yeah.
So you go on you're pedaling air, or suddenly you're pedaling at a level 7.
Yeah, with like 1% oxygen or something.
Well, not so much that, pushing the work in to maybe 12 or 14% oxygen.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't run up a fucking mountain.
Yeah.
You go up, my wife has taught me, and then you stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to go down. Like, she's had that sickness. You get
Altitude sickness.
altitude sickness. Like, that's a real thing, man. Like, she's had it. And she's climbed, Machu Picchu. She's climbed Kilimanjaro and Mount Fuji. Like,
Is she gonna do Everest?
Can't. Her hand, she has that thing. She would have done it already if she could have. But her hands, Renault.
Oh, yeah. Cold, right?
Yeah, her hands get too cold. Like, I have to warm her hands up for her and stuff sometimes.
I will wrap this up with the same question. I've asked you this several times before, but first of all, thank you for always being who you are. And I just, I appreciate you, bro. And I love you. And
back at you, bro.
And thank you for just being the person that you are. Gratitude's the cornerstone of my life. And I heard this quote recently. I know you'll love this. No amount of regret can change the past. No amount of anxiety can change the future. But any amount of gratitude can change the present.
100%.
What are 3 things that you're grateful for right now?
Oh, God. Number 1 is my wife and kids. But, I've been so blessed on so many levels. My granddaughter. If you ever would have told me it's 6 months, because at 6 months I said it'll be 5 months and 4 months, whatever it is. Right now it's 6 months from 69, that I would be in the shape I'm in and be able to do the shit that I can do. I'm so grateful for that, because I know most of us aren't that lucky.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for the openness that it took to be able to be open to so many things that other people weren't. Like,
you have a curiosity.
Yeah, and I want, like, my niece, my goddaughter, and my niece was here. Same person. Sammy was here today, and she came rolling in, and I'm on the oxygen, walking backwards. She's like, Uncle Paige, I'm going to go into the cold plunge, and she has this mat, and it's I took a picture of it, and this is so crazy because this is my niece. Yeah, like, Paige is like, oh my God, this is so your niece. And it's called Kanjo, right?
Yeah, I was standing on
Okay, so I see her standing on this thing, and I've got the mask on me, so I can't ask her anything about it. So later on, I said, so what were you standing on? And she goes, oh my God, Uncle Paige, it's for your feet, and it helps the receptors, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I was listening to myself. And she rolled that. She goes, want to try it? I go, sure.
Yeah.
And I got on. I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? Because it kind of like, it sticks you and grabs you. By the end of it, I'm like, they're like, Prime's having a sale. You should get it then. I'm buying it right now.
I'm going to get one of those.
It was like, it was something that added to all the footwork that I'm doing. So the curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I know how to be grateful. That's number 1. Because you're depressed, you're down, help somebody first.
Yeah.
Because that will make all the fucking difference in the world. Because you will start to feel better about yourself. Learn to breathe and focus on what you have as opposed to what you don't have.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing that will get you through the hurdles to get you where you want to go.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you again. Always great to catch up with you, brother.
Good time.
Yeah,
Good
so
time
good.
here.
Well, let's go crush that workout tomorrow.
Absolutely. 8:30, baby.
All
Let's
right.
go